folks. Hello and welcome. It is Monday, August 10th, 5 o'clock p.m. Welcome to the Techthusiasm Live podcast. Hello, as always, to good friend of the channel, Julius, always the first to comment. Thanks so much. Yeah, we're going to hang out for maybe an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer here if I talk for a while, if I get a little wordy in some of the things that I had for today. And I figured today's topic of interest, today's item to share would basically be looking back kind of over my home theater journey a little bit and going through kind of where did I start from? What were my original systems? What did what are some of the things that I did early on? When did I start kind of having an affinity for certain things in my system? How did my setups evolve and all of that? Because definitely it was a 26 year ish 25-year evolution to go from essentially a 25-inch television and no speakers to the room that I'm sitting in right now, with all this cool stuff that's in here: JVC Trenoff, Focal speakers, etc., Kaleidoscape and things. Given the channel has been growing quite a lot, I've had this topic in my mind for a little while, and I figured today is a good day to do it because otherwise, I didn't go to Audio Vice Live, so I don't have that to talk about. I know a number of folks did. A number of other folks making content in the content space attended. So I followed some of their postings and pictures and things over the weekend, but I feel like I didn't really see any breaking major news or anything come out of the event. So it would have been fun to go demo the things and interact with everybody and such, but didn't make that trip. So I don't have a recap show. Normally, the Monday after Audio Voice Live, the last few years would be a recap opportunity, but I didn't make it. Still working on the rest of my travel plans as well, considering Cedia, still considering M-Wave, also possibly too. May or may not do both or either one of those coming up. But kudos to anybody that made it to Audio Voice Live. Hopefully, you saw some cool stuff. Hopefully, being able to experience a lot of different things there, helped to kind of validate uh, directions and demystify some things and whatnot in everybody's mind. I'm sure it was a great event. They've done an awesome job with it all of the years up until now that I had attended since the very first one. Um, so otherwise, the last week was pretty devoid, actually, of much audio video entertainment. We didn't really, the family wise, just trying to think back over what we were doing. Kind of a busy weekend of running around. We did end up with a little bit of some downtime as well, but it was just focused the week focused on a lot of other things. So no movie watching for us in the last week. Of course, we went out, talked in the last live stream, talked a lot about Spider-Man and the theatrical experience of going out to Spider-Man a week ago Sunday. No theatrical experience, no movies in the last week for us. My son and I were continuing event viewing, scheduled viewing by events every Wednesday now has been for X-Men 97. The final episode of X-Men 97 comes out in 2 days. So looking forward to hopefully a really, really great blowout end cap for season 2 of that show. X-Men, 90s X-Men, in particular, 80s, 90s X-Men, in particular, is one of my favorite character sets, genres, periods of time in pop culture and whatnot, back to all the original comics and comic creators that are inspiring a lot of the things that have made it to film and other media, and this X-Men season, this X-Men show as well. So really enjoyed the penultimate episode. Is that the right way to say it? The second to last episode last Wednesday. My son and I watched it Wednesday night, gearing up for some big final battles and revelations and all that stuff. And then as a family, we've continued very slowly to work our way through Ahsoka. So I think we're on the season one. Season two is on its way though, which is great. At some point in time, hopefully, such big lags between some of these shows that came out a few years ago and their next season opportunity releases. But I forget whether we finished episode 2 or episode 3. But in any case, I've watched Ahsoka before. This is a rewatch with the family to go through all of the better Star Wars content in that. So did that and played a little bit of games with my son as well. We're still working on the game Absalom. I think I mentioned that one a few weeks ago as well. We pretty much finished it, and we're just kind of grinding out the last bit of content and unlockables and so on. I'm not sure what game we may play next. We may jump over into the Star Wars, the newer Jedi they call it Jedi Survivor or Jedi. I forget the name of the other one. The Kyle single player action game. So we'll pass the controller back and forth, but we may jump into that one if we can't find another like co-op beat 'em up or something to get into. So that's really been the extent of my media engagement. We haven't no big changes going on. Just been working with customers. The business continues to roll. Um, uh, Continuing to get I say a trickle at this point now. The big rush I think of Kaleidoscape Strato K orders, at least for me, it's kind of subsided, but there's kind of a steady flow. Still remains on pretty significant back order there. But I've been talking with some folks. I have some SVS subwoofers actually being delivered tomorrow. Have a Trinoff that shipped today. That will be arriving imminently, and working with some other folks on some speaker purchases and whatnot still in the funnel or in development. So always having a good time interacting with folks, trying to give give the best advice that I can give, and helping people make their systems better and accomplish what they want to accomplish with them. So that of course always continues, and if I can help anybody out with any stuff, by all means feel free to get in touch. My son, we've continued to work on the web page. He's still rounding out some of the product listings to kind of have the gear catalog be pretty complete. But otherwise, we spent more of our time less on the technology side of my interests or our interests and hobbies and whatnot, and more on the non-technology side. So my son and I, we've been playing a ton of Marvel Champions. The new Daredevil box set is out, and we also have been working on our figure collection, toy collection, office display quite a bit as well. We're really changing some things out in there, optimizing, learning as we go, and optimizing our collection and its presentation. We picked up switching some items over to statues from figures and so on. So really, more of my hobby time has been spent devoted there than not. Other big thing that I really am looking forward to getting set up here soon is the next Techthusiasm showcase. I really wanted to do one of these in the spring. We never got to it, so it'll basically be a year. By the time we get this scheduled now, it'll pretty much be a year. It'll have been a year since the last open house. Last fall we had I think 25 or so, 25 plus folks, a number of folks from the Michigan home theater meetup community, um, and a variety of other folks around Michigan as well. Some folks from Ohio came out too, looking hopefully for an even bigger turnout this next time, and be able to showcase the Trinoff upgrade that has transpired in here, as well as the Kaleidoscape Strato K. I think will be the two big things people will be coming to check out. So I really need to get working on that. Lock in a date, get it out, get it advertised, and set up for a fun and hopefully lively event. Already been thinking about some of the content that I want to put on the demo loop, the demo script for that event as well. So say hello to a few folks, and we'll dive into the topic of the day. Welcome, Srin. Hello, hello. Yeah, he's back from Audio Advice Live. He was there for sure. Hello, Vamps. Uh, we got to see German TV manufacturer Lowy. Interesting, interesting. Let's see. Saw a ton of new products. Almost everyone had something new. Had something new. So, Srin, what do you think what was some of the coolest, the top couple of things that you saw at the show there? Yeah, Ahsoka, man. Yeah, you know what I was noticing about Ahsoka in these last couple of episodes is it's slow. Holy cow, it's a very very slow show. Um, Picks up with some action a little bit more towards the end, but man, it's almost a little boring. It's actually almost a little boring at times. Okay, yeah, they had some new headphones. Oh, nice. Bang& Olufsen, new headphones and things going on. Yeah, probably a lot of disparate new products at Audio Device Live, I'm sure. Um, Not and then we've got of course Cedia coming up in a few weeks, only a few weeks away. So we'll see what other new things come there. I know there's always conjecture about who's going to release what and what new products will we see. Is it a projector year in terms of models? Is it a projector year in terms of software and upgrades? Excited to see what happens or what comes out of that. And biggest thing I'm still kind of hoping for, or I'd love to see, is something out of Anthem, a two channel upgrade, an STR2 integrated and standalone preamp. That would get my that would get my upgrade juices flowing if they were to drop that upgrade, bring it in line and surpass even potentially some of the capabilities and things of the that the MRX and AVM line brought to the table. Yeah. Oh my God, or Kaleidoscape Ks everywhere. As far as I know, they should have had the K at the main Kaleidoscape table. And I'm not sure that they were probably deployed all throughout the event. Vamps. JVC has upgraded their projectors to RGB lasers. No, I mean if you they have to, or that's what you're looking for. Srin really like the two new Focal speakers. Oh, I heard that they have the. Yeah, you sent me, I think, right? The Alta the Alta Diva, the Diva Alta or Alta Diva Utopias. My favorite speaker. Um, were there and some other cool stuff. That's cool. Oop, Eddie Mangamo, your volume is slightly low. Been like this for the past 2-3 streams. Interesting. I don't know if I have a way to control that. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe I'll just address my computer a little more stronger and just project and speak up. Or here, mic volume. Let me go. I can move this up just a little bit. Go there. Hopefully that helps as well. Yeah, OVAMPs. Yeah, have to upgrade their projectors or RGB lasers. I don't know. I think my gut still tells me, and I don't know this. I am a JVC dealer, so I'm not speaking out of any privileged information, but I suspect it's a software year. But time will tell. A couple weeks, we'll know for sure, kind of what's going on. All right. So, topic of the day. And again, I welcome all of the new folks that may be watching this either live or after the fact as well. I appreciate. It's been pretty wild. The channel's gone through pretty significant pop of growth off of the tour video and some of the things that I've done around that, and I'm going to continue hopefully finding a response to that. Definitely, folks reaching out, getting in touch, and it's been a fun kind of whirlwind a few weeks around that. So let's talk about kind of how did I get my start in home theater? Where did I come from? How did this whole thing start for me? So I was in college in the late '90s. I actually finished up my undergrad computer engineering degree in 1998, and so going into college, we had already had some computers, and um, I liked tech, for whatever for what tech represented in the late '80s, early '90s. I liked video game consoles. We had a computer. I played some games on it. I messed around with that, and we always had like a nice-ish TV in our home. Nice-ish for the time, bigger console style televisions and whatnot. But my parents always had something. They had turntables very early on, moved up to cassettes, players, and stuff like that, or a nice tuner radio setup. I don't have pictures of that stuff. I need to get a lot of pictures from my childhood scanned and digitized from my parents and whatnot, but I don't have that. I don't have that available for today's discussion. But and we had a two-channel speaker set up, no subwoofers, but in our living room for the longest time. Stereo receiver, cassette player, kind of that sort of stuff. Two speakers. Couldn't even name the brand. I no concept or recollection of whatever the brand might have been. But I always dug this stuff. And as I was, liked watching TV, liked watching movies, we go to the movie theater. Of course, VHS came along after Betamax and those things. So being able to watch movies at home, buy some movies and kind of collect them. I had the Star Wars trilogy on VHS and such. And then went off to college. And then in college, I really started reading more of audiophile, videophile stuff, like Stereophile magazine, Home Theater magazine became a thing, I think it came out around that time. Started going to like home theater shops, and as I went through my college years, we're talking like 1994 to 1998. Of course, uh, VHS gave way for the advent of DVD, so I was right there, buying DVD player, DivX, and some of the other things that were new at the time. But college student, poor college student. I worked a co-op program through my undergraduate degree and worked a lot of overtime, made some decent money, but I wasn't throwing a lot of money into electronics and stuff like that. I didn't have an audio system. I didn't have a stereo system. Actually, the house that I rented with my wife now and a couple of friends, I had the television, 25-inch TV or something like that, and my friend had a two-channel stereo system. So he would bring the stereo to our school sections, and I would bring the television. And then, of course, we had video game consoles and all of that. And through our college years, right, we got into the release of the original PlayStation. Um, is that the N64, Mario Kart? Played a lot of Mario Kart. But into the PlayStation, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, some of those like just landmark games and whatnot. And so I started reading these magazines and looking forward to graduating, getting a nice job, going out on my own, being able to have home theater set up and like doing cool things and everything with it. And so at the time, the stuff that had my juices flowing was like aerial acoustic speakers and we were, just before 1998, right? 1999, we were just kind of on the cusp of like the start of more high definition video was coming. And so ultimately, we finished up. I finished up in '98. My wife finished up in '99. Spent a little time living at home, engaged for a bit before we got married, and then we moved into our first house in the middle of 2000, June of 2000. We it was a home that we built, modest house subdivision, like kind of cookie cutter builder kind of thing, downriver Detroit, and um, or greater like downriver Detroit area. Whatever, I think it was like 1,600 square feet or so. Living room, dining room, nook, kitchen, an office, and then three bedrooms upstairs with an unfinished basement down below. And so I had the living room. Now I had my own living room to do in what my first opportunity to really do a really great audio and video system. Again, moving from a 25-inch television and a DVD player into something more. And so, one thing has definitely been the case throughout my whole home theater journey is that my wife has been awesomely in support of doing pretty crazy things, right? That a lot of, let's say, a lot of spouses may not necessarily enjoy or be supportive of. And so, as we jump right into the first photo here, so this is December 29th, 2000, as we were installing. So there you go on the right hand side there, just behind my buddy, old friend of mine, one of my best longtime friends, but fallen out of connection with him unfortunately. But great friend for a long time in my life. There's that 25-inch, maybe a Sony, I forget what it is. See a PS2 sitting on the table there. So we were already into the next generation of the game consoles and everything. And I think probably underneath that television, that's some type of a TiVo unit. Of course, broadcast to TV, always had cable TV growing up, and the advent of the DVRs and stuff like that was so awesome. I used to record a lot on VHS and shift stuff around on VHS tapes and things like that. But man, once we had the TiVo and we could have these, be able to record and time shift and skip commercials and jump commercials and all that stuff was pretty awesome. So again, we moved into this house in 2000, and right away, I wanted to start conceiving of, okay, what can we do in this room? And let me go. I'm going to actually jump to a different photo that's much later in time to just kind of give a little more structure to like what the layout of this room was. So we can see there's like a passageway to the foyer. That's the front door on the left here. And then we have this window on this wall. We have like a half wall to the left. And then we can see there's a closet directly across from the entry door there. And then we have a bigger opening on this wall to the kitchen. And we have the fireplace on the other wall. So there's really not a whole lot of television space here. We could have potentially put something in this corner on an angle type of thing. But I wanted to go big. And at this point in time, like you still couldn't get like bigger, you still couldn't get much bigger televisions, right? There were starting to be like more, they weren't flat panels certainly, but like bigger rear projection televisions and stuff were available. An uncle of my aunt's he had a nice big rear projection television, hundreds of pounds, big massive thing, but really large by most television standards at the time. And so what caught my attention right away, already having been reading home theater magazine, stuff like that, was the advent of the Sony VPL. Was it 1000 or 10,000 HT or 10 VPL 1000 10 HT? I forget the specific model number, but it was basically the first 1080p projector. As I recollect, somebody can call me out if that's an inaccurate statement in any way, but a 1080p projector. So man, I had it at home. I was able to do high definition video, even though we were watching DVDs at the time. We had high definition video going on. Broadcast stuff was starting to broadcast in HD. We watched some of those, the first, we were the ones hosting the Super Bowl parties and all that stuff early on. So let me go back to the beginning of this. And so I spec'd the system out. I worked with a home theater shop in Dearborn, Michigan, on Michigan Avenue. I don't think that they're still around. Um, but working with them, put the audio system together, and kind of put the video chain together as well, kind of mapped everything out and everything. So this was a 92-inch screen, 16 by 9 screen. It fit just barely above the fireplace mantle. So we are not talking about a super optimized experience here. Definitely not. But hey, it's what I did at the time, right? So this is obviously way too high by today's standards. I would not like to watch such a big screen, especially so high, so high up above anymore. This was probably 8 foot ceilings. We didn't have extra tall ceilings or anything in this house. Nothing really extravagant or super flashy. It was a new construction house for our first home, which was awesome, but it was by no means a very high end or like exclusive build. It was, it was just a nice starter new construction home. So, but we were able to, we were able to fit this thing in here. So failure mode on how high everything is, failure mode on probably, viewing uh, angle, distance, and that sort of stuff. But but we did it. We did it nonetheless. And super failure mode as well on trying to use this projector in this room. Right, it was essentially unusable in the day. And so even with curtains and stuff like that, light coming in, the house faced this was an east facing wall, and so directly to the right here, if you go through the where the dining room table was, big door wall leading out to the backyard, big door wall, lots of glass, lots of light from the south, sun coming up and over, constant light, constant light from the south side of the house streaming in along the back. um, but hey, we probably watched more content, more movies, certainly, and stuff in the evening, at night. And in Michigan here with daylight savings times in the wintertime and whatnot, it starts to get dark earlier, 7 o'clock or whatnot. And so, hey, it worked. It worked for what we needed it to do. So, got that Sony projector. This screen was probably a Draper, I think. I did try a number of different screens through the time that we lived here. We lived here for about 7 years, and I upgraded that projector, I think, 2 times, three total projector models probably, I think, and probably at least two, if not three different screens. This was a fixed frame screen. I'm pretty sure this was a Draper. Um, but the last one that I ended up with, and I think we'll see this in some of the later pictures, was actually a Vutex, I want to say Silver Star, but it's like full fixed frame screen, like a board, one big board that went up with like silver speckles and things to try to an attempt at ambient light rejection and all that. But no video processors, nothing like that, of course, at the time. Audio system, B&W, man. I got my start in home theater with B&W. These are the CDM NT models. These are the nines. So we had the nines, the center, and a pair of the SNTs, the on wall hung surrounds, 5 channel system, and one little subwoofer. I don't even remember what size that thing was. Probably 10 inch, maybe. Um, a B&W subwoofer to go with the B&W speakers, bought from, again, that same audio shop. And then getting my start as well receiver wise. I'm pretty sure we'll double check here as we go, but I'm pretty sure all the way back then it was I'm going the wrong way. It was a Pioneer. Had some Pioneers, had some Denons and whatnot. But man, I think we did overall, all things considered, I think we did a pretty nice install here. So the projector hung, pretty close to that wall. I forget what the dimensions of this room were, but it was probably only about maybe 12 feet across, maybe 12 to 14 feet across, perhaps. Not, it couldn't have been much bigger than that. Again, 1,650 square foot house with 3 bedrooms on the second floor. So that first floor only, it was only so big to begin with. But, we were able to mount this projector up here. And because we had an open basement, we were able to get speaker wire down down through the floor into this closet, leverage this closet right behind here so much. And and actually kind of parallelly speaking, right, in my theater right now, kind of one of my key elements is that this room is directly adjacent to, just like this one, actually, way back to the beginning. It's funny how it mirrors. This room is directly adjacent to a storage room where all of my sources and gear equipment and stuff like that is. And so what did I do? Well, I punched a hole in the wall, yay big, and all my speaker cables and subwoofer cables and HDMI cables go through that hole to the rack right on the other side. Well, I did the same thing. I did the same thing way back here, basically right behind that projector. Right, we knocked a hole right through the wall. We put a plate and stuff on it, made it look nice, like a brush panel kind of thing. But we knocked a hole right into that closet. And again, kudos to my wife, right? Hey, honey, can I take half of the coat closet on the main floor and throw all of the audio video gear in there? Yeah, Sure, sure, go ahead, sure, go ahead and do it. So that's what we did. That closet housed this like just kind of really cheap, stackable. Probably actually was Target even around in 2000. I don't even know where I got this from. Maybe Target was around, if not Meyer or something. But yeah, just some stackable balsa wood or MDF or something type of shelving unit to hold everything in there. And then not only did we punch through the wall for the projector, we punched we drilled a hole. Hey honey, can I drill a five inch diameter hole in the back of the closet down through to the basement because I need to route all my speaker wire and stuff up there. And so she did it. So here we are. Uh, Pulling, cutting and pulling. Thankfully, I didn't know how to do any of this kind of fish tape wire pulling stuff, but a friend of ours at the time did. So he graciously came over and volunteered his knowledge and services to help wire some of this stuff up. So you can see we made a little knockout here for the left side surround, the left CDM SNT B&W speaker, and then we're getting ready to pull fish tape and pull that wire through, and then down here to the basement. This is the east wall, so we're probably looking actually at where this is probably about where the center channel was, or maybe the right hand channel. Again, unfinished basement, so awesome. We were able to tack up the speaker wire through the floor joist, and of course the floor joist here ran just like in here, just like in this room, actually too. They ran in the right direction for what I needed them to do, because the speaker wires came down and kind of joined, and then came over this way relative to the picture, and then up into that closet. So wiring up the speaker, just a little hanging tab there on the wall. Whoop, had some cocktails and dinner and stuff going on as well. There's my wife sitting in the closet graciously cutting speaker wire. So here's our first kind of look at the rack. That one's a Denon at the time, actually. I remember switching back and forth between like Denon and Pioneer as my kind of receivers of choice. At the time, I knew a number of folks that worked at or around Ford, and Ford Motor Company had a relationship with Pioneer because they used Pioneer audio equipment in for the audio systems in the vehicles. And so I had an awesome connection to be able, because anybody at Ford could buy Pioneer equipment at a pretty significant discount. And so I ended up taking advantage of that a couple of times for a couple of receiver upgrades, to have a friend or whatever pick up a unit for me as time went by. So we have Denon to start. Probably bought that. Probably certainly did buy that as well from the same place I sourced the speakers from. And then going down, we've got a DVD player here, double tray DVD player. Still have a VHS VHS player, Sony, yeah, Toshiba DVD player, and a Sony VHS player, and then yeah, that TiVo. That might have been a cable TiVo. That might have been a satellite unit as well. I really love TiVo. I was a huge fan of TiVo for quite a long time, until we finally got to a point in time where we would start to feel inclined to cord cut and use streaming services and digital services and stuff like that. And then I'm not sure what that is on the bottom. Oh, that's Comcast actually. So yeah, at this point in time, maybe this was early enough in the development of the TiVo. Either this was early enough in the development of the TiVo that we still had the cable box. This was even before cable cards, even possibly. Because I remember the advent of the cable card, man, that was amazing when you didn't have to have a separate cable box for your TiVo. So this might have been Comcast cable box actually uh, going into the TiVo and then the TiVo controlling the channel selection and stuff like that to be able to make the recording. So, yep. And then these yellow cables here are component video. Back at this stage of the game, stage of development, we were talking component video, and if I recall correctly, like the receivers at the time, right? We had some composite video, some S video, even sources potentially, and the receiver would switch all of that stuff, and also like up convert. So we only had, I want to say we only had a component video run between the receiver and the projector. And this was all tributaries. I had a love for tributaries cables at the time. We got some. Neither one of those kitties are still with us today. We lost the one on the left really early, unfortunately. The other one lasted a long time. She lived a long time um, with us. Okay, So some more speakers here, or there's more setup. Sorry, getting the screen up, getting it aligned, getting it screwed in, brackets on the wall, and then kind of screwing into the frame. Getting these video runs all set. So many analog cables and stuff going on. Must have had, yeah, this is the projector's power cord with a bit of an extension to get down to the socket down below. I'm trying to think actually now, man, how did I plug everything in? We must have put, I wonder, I must have conceived of this whole scheme before we even built the house. Now thinking back, because there had to have been power plugs in the back of this closet. You wouldn't really often put power plugs power plugs in your closet, but yeah, that was the that was the goal in the intent there. So, oh yeah, yeah, you can see she's terminating cables, got the banana plugs right there. Probably should have gave her actually a pair of crimpers, not a not an X-Acto knife. But okay, she made it. She did the job. So yeah, little B&W subwoofer sitting in the corner, still into the power management, power protection going on here. So yeah, surge protector on the on the little subwoofer, and some stereo audio going in there. Just located that. Hey, at least I knew to put my subwoofer in the corner. And let's notice one other big thing. Actually, I'm going to go back here. Notice one big thing, right? This was early on when we moved in. White walls everywhere. Here's another thing. Hey, honey, can I paint like the room, our main living room where we will entertain guests and have people over? Can I paint this like a really ugly gray because like that's better for projection, um, projection, presentation, and contrast and color, and all that stuff. And I think in the long run, actually, we might see this as we get further along. I think we actually end up painting the whole room that gray, if I recall. It actually made it like this paint as well. I don't remember why I chose this. Bunch of research and things, and it had some texture to it. So it was how it reflected light and absorbed light and whatever. But I remember like it was kind of a running joke for us that we'd fall asleep in this room like so easy because it was like a bat cave of a living room. It's when it got dark, and then this room got dark with the gray, and even you turn the lamp on at night, it would just be like it would just suck the light. Like the lamp would not illuminate the room because the gray was overwhelming overwhelming the light. And then another thing, like, hey, honey, do you mind? No, we have this nice natural fireplace where we could like burn wood and use it as a real fireplace, but I'd like to put a center channel speaker right in front of it on a table. Would you mind? Would you mind? And hey, I did it. So we used to just light candles in the fireplace. I don't think we ever actually burned real wood in this fireplace one time in the entire 7 years that we lived here. We would just burn candles in there as a for a little bit of light and presentation. Lawless, the Sony 3000, 300 disc DVD changers. Where is that? I'm pretty sure I had a 5 disc changer as well at some point. I want to say, yeah. Did you hack your TiVo? Oh yeah, I did all. That's something else. Yeah, I did all kinds of hacking, all kinds of levels of hacking. I think with the TiVos, putting bigger hard drives in, stuff like that. Um, yeah, you could do a lot. You could do a lot with TiVo at the time. So there you go. Surround out there. I put my surrounds too high. Guess that's my thing. Although this is pretty high. Those should have probably been a lot lower. Although maybe I did that based on some measurement and spec or recommendation at the time. But 25 years ago ish. Or actually, this was from 2006. So these are a little bit later, but still, they're installed in 2000, 2001. Yeah, maybe a little bit high there. And I think this is not the Sony anymore. Along the way, I remember switching to a Sanyo Z2, and then possibly, yeah, and then another Sony. I think I had two Sonys and a Sanyo as projector upgrades. For whatever reason, they were getting brighter contrast, chasing brightness and contrast, stuff like that. Changed the mount a time or two for the different projectors, but still everything wired in directly there. Yeah, component video probably actually did have S video or something additional plugged in. Oh, that's a Yamaha actually. Okay, yeah, I forgot about the Yamaha. Two Sonys, a Sanyo, and a Yamaha. So four projectors in 7 years. I had the bug bit me way back. Even the upgrade bug bit me way back then. So here, let's take a look at this. Right, what were we looking at here for the game shelf? The movie, some CDs, yeah, some CDs, and then the movie shelf was over to the farther side. Yeah, Xbox, original Xbox, PlayStation 2, some N64, Sega Saturn, Genesis. I was into a lot more console gaming at the times, legacy systems and all that stuff. Had all that stuff connected in there, and then the remote control. Still programming universal remotes way back then. I don't remember the brand of that one offhand though. All right, so here we go. That's some in action photos, and then here maybe if we painted the whole room, but oh no, I guess maybe I'm thinking wrong. Maybe we didn't paint the whole room. So all right, so here we go. Let's take a look at the upgraded rack. Yeah, yeah. So what are we looking at here? Sega Dreamcast. I remember, yeah, the Sega Dreamcast came out while we lived in this house. We got the GameCube with some wireless controllers. Back then, wireless controllers were even starting to just become a thing. And so, in the very beginning, this is 2006, but prior to that, I would buy wired controller extension cables, and they would plug in to the system and then come out of the closet and wrap around to the couch or whatever where we were sitting. But in this generation, we started to get wireless controllers. It was so great, so great. Even if they had to have little receiver pieces and whatnot. Dreamcast wasn't wired, but here I must have gotten rid of some of the older game consoles, but was still keeping everything current at the time. Latest Nintendo, latest Xbox, latest PlayStation, and the Sega Dreamcast. We started to get networking in. Didn't plan for networking in 2000, but by 2006, there's a Linksys little network switch here. The router somewhere else, but it ran some network cables and stuff in there. Yep, still rocking DVD, Sony DVD player. Even though I think at the time, yeah, the PS2 and probably even the Xbox. Well, this is the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 didn't that require a separate that required a separate drive attachment or what to play the DVDs. The PlayStation 2 could, but hey, I was audiophile, videophile, home theater enthusiast. I would still maintain myself an uh, independent DVD player for watching movies. And there's the TiVo. Yeah, so we had switched by this time to satellite, direct TiVo at the time. Used that for quite a while. And there's the Pioneer, man, Pioneer Elite, probably one of the two or so that I had in this time frame. You got 5.1 channel and rocking the Panamax, always into some power management. Um, so, rack upgrade here as well. This is probably like a BDI or something like that. I'm guessing at the time, nicer rack than just the stackable target level stuff. And then all the game controllers. I bought this hanging shoe rack, and man, it fit controllers like so well. Actually, you could fit two per side, and all those game systems needed a place for their controllers. And then up above here, oh, this was also after this little bundle of joy right here. My buddies and I, we built our own custom arcade controllers. I have some photos and stuff of that. I conceived of all of this. One of my buddies that was in some of the earlier pictures, best friend, still a best friend today. He had the carpentry skills to cut the boards and put the boards together and build the cases and the frames. I had the electronic skill, and so we hacked out controllers. We took the boards out of the controllers and soldered like jumper wires onto them, in that to be able to build our own custom like Sanwa parts uh, for fighting games and arcade games. And so we hacked for the Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2, the Xbox 360, and stuff. So we had a lot of fun doing that along the way. Another shot of the rack. Of course, we kept some coats in the vacuum cleaner still in that front closet. Still doing closet duty, but man, I definitely co-opted the better half of it. And so, some IR blaster stuff going on here. That's kind of worth calling out because there was a IR receiver that we installed in the wall on the right next basically to the projector screen because we didn't have it wasn't these universal controllers and all this stuff wasn't RF at the time. So it was IR with the emitters. Was it Xantech? I'm trying to think of the name brand of that IR redistribution setup. But in any case, we had an IR receiver. I put an IR receiver on the wall. Then you can see the little blinkers on some of this stuff to be able to control it with the remote. So there we are. Nighttime in all its glory. 92-inch. Oh, Fight Night. God, Fight Night was such a good game. I really got into that one. I don't know. I don't know why this day I decided to take some. That's a couple terrible photos. I decided to take some pictures and stuff, but evolving video game collection. God, I wish I still had these games, man. Back in the early 2010s, I was actually collecting sealed classic video games way before anybody else thought that they were going to be worth a lot of money. And I sold them for a nice return, but nothing close to what any of this stuff is worth today. It's probably one of my biggest financial mistakes. Sealed Mario Brothers, sealed Legend of Zelda, Contra, Ninja Gaiden, all so many games. NES, Genesis, Super Nintendo, and I had almost every big title that you could want collected sealed for pennies on the dollar today. Pennies on the dollar today. Um, Even one of those games graded with the right grade, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars you could get for it. Oh, see, I've been ignoring some of the comments as I've been talking. So, how did the B&W speakers sound? I dug them. Like, I mean, to my undeveloped, inexperienced ear, I thought they were quite good. You know, I demoed those and some other things at the store or around the stores. I think I remember visiting a handful of home theater shops. Back then, there were actually quite a few home theater shops in Michigan, between not really so much downriver, but like Dearborn, Ann Arbor, and such. There in like the Novi area, even had some uh, had multiple home theater shops. So I was pleased. I always dug the I always enjoyed the sound. I thought the sound was very good. Um, Sorry, looking at comments, making sure because there's some other conversation going on too. Oh, here, Eddie Mangano, good question. Didn't consider placing an identical tower for the center. No, no, you know what? I probably didn't even think of that at the time. And actually, these speakers might not have been sold back then. I think maybe these speakers didn't even come individually. They might have sold them even in pairs, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. But yeah, the concept, we could have possibly done it. Although that would have really been a bigger problem with blocking the fireplace. At least the way we did it, the fireplace was not fully obscured. If there was a vertical tower standing in front of the fireplace, it would have completely taken that out. Notice though in this picture as well, there is no center channel. So I was early. This is, let me get the date again before I come back. Yeah, February 21st, 2007. And the reason for that is we were at this point we were selling the house. Um, yeah. And so yeah, we can see the number our cat did on the edge of that couch right there. And that projector, this final project. Oh, let me come back to that. So I'm jumping around too much. Let me go back to the center. So yeah, no center channel anymore. Using the Phantom Center feature way back then, 2007. I was a pioneer in my own mind. My living room is a Phantom Center today, and I was doing Phantom Center back then. But this was largely because we weren't even using the system at this little stretch of time. February 21st, 2007. These were some level of like staging photos, I think, or some final photos that we took before we left. Because at this point we knew the house was up for sale. I had accepted the job at my current employer. So I'll be almost 20 years, or will be 20 years at this place in January, in the coming January. I had accepted and officially started in January. So I'd already started about a month prior, month, maybe 6 weeks prior to this picture, and we knew we were moving. We were going to Boston. So, leaving the Detroit area, selling this house, moving to Boston, and notice the year 2007. So we moved in May. The house was for sale. We left it behind because we had to go to meet the commitments of the job, and we sold the house in the fall. I'm going to say like August or something like that, maybe September of 2007, right before everything blew up, entirely blew up. And we ended up with, we had showings, we had interested people come through. We only had one offer on the house, and we had to write a check for about 2 or 3 grand relative to our mortgage balance at the time. This wasn't, I mean, by today's standards, this was not a super expensive home. I think maybe $150,000 or so we paid to build this house. And after paying on the mortgage for 7 years or so, we wrote a check for about 3 grand. And I remember we had the conversation. It's like, do we really want to have to pay to sell our house? Maybe we should just wait. And it's like, well, you know what? This is a buyer in hand. We've already moved months ago. We want this house off our back. Let's just let it go. And then whatever, 60 days later, the world exploded. The financial world exploded, right? So um, we happily, in retrospect, got very lucky that we decided to go ahead and take that offer. But again, along the way, we had to take the center channel out. I think probably at the recommendation of the realtor to make the house feel more appealing while our stuff was still in there. Red Techie changing the TiVo boot splash screen was fun too. Nice. Um, sorry, just looking at some comments here. The Cobb one looks like your first one. Yeah, so VPL 10 HT. I was always thinking 1010 HT. Yep, so popular back then. I'm pretty sure that was the first 1080p projector. And then as we left, let me go back to, where was it? This photo here. Yeah, a little sharper. This one, this was the VPL 5. I want to say there was a 5 in the model number of this one. Much brighter, still 1080p. Um, were we getting into HDMI in 2007? I don't remember for sure. I think this might have still been component video. Or no. I think we were getting an HDMI because at this point in time, the PS3 was out. Yeah, the PS3 was out. The PS3 came out like holiday of 2006. So that's probably what drove this upgrade. Yeah, we were already into HDMI at this point in time. And so, yeah, definitely I wanted an HDMI projector. Notice too, another thing that I've done along the way, got rid of the ceiling mount. Ceiling mount always a pain versus a shelf. And I found this shelf which was pretty sweet. Strong enough to hold the projector, glass shelf, looked like it was just kind of floating in space. But yeah, this was HDMI PlayStation 3 era, because my PlayStation 3 was stolen when we moved. Um, freaking freaking the mover guys. They basically raided our stuff. They loaded the guys that came. It was a corporate move, so it was kind of directed by a company. They came and did a pack, and they packed stuff up. And these guys, these jackasses, they they were telling me, like, hey, you should be careful with these clear bins because we had a lot of clear bins, storage bins in our basement. Because storing our stuff, hey, it's easier to know what's in a bin if it's clear. So we packed in a lot of those clear bins for moving, and I had a lot of the gaming stuff and things in those clear bins. And so the guys knew what was in there. And I'm pretty sure they pulled their way down the road a little while, pulled over and grabbed stuff out of our packing bins and helped themselves to not very much, not to, but to some of the gaming equipment. So, what year? Oh, well, the Kaleidoscape come out? I think at this point in time, Kaleidoscape was already out because they've had, is it 25 years now. They just have the 20 or 25-year anniversary. In either case, they would have had solutions on the market now. Not Strato, but the original Kaleidoscape Premiere system, Disc Vault kind of stuff. At that point, Kaleidoscape wasn't even on my radar at this point in time. Let's see. Just looking for other comments here. Maddie's Terminator here. I just watched his video a little bit ago. I don't often check in on a lot of other home theater YouTube, but I ended up watching a couple of videos today, including Late Night Talks video, which mentioned to me again. So I'm feeling salty. We could talk a little bit about that. Um, yeah, classic dark green carpet. Man, we used nowadays when we think back to this house and the way that we decorated and painted it, we call it it was the lifesaver house because we used every color. We had blue, green, yellow. We painted the bathroom on the main floor opposite this living room. We painted that room yellow, and we would joke it was so freaking bright. Small room, yellow walls. It's a bathroom as well, so it's got like multiple bulbs and stuff in there. Man, you'd walk in there and like the yellow would glow. It's like the kingdom of heaven opened up in the hallway, and the yellow light would just the golden light of heaven shine brightly out of that bathroom. But there's a blue kitchen, green living room, yellow bathroom. We had red wall in our bedroom. We used every color of the spectrum in our lifesaver house. We did not have an interior decorator helping us on that one. Okay, cool. All right, some other conversation going on about the audio based live stuff. So this was house number one, and or system number one. I do want to. I want to. Let me go to. Yeah, let's go here. I just want to show this off really quick because this is something that I was always super proud of. Right. So this is that arcade build that I was talking about. Here's the blue kitchen, blue Formica countertops in that there. So yeah, we built these chassis. We designed these chassis with some support in the edges, hinges, and everything. And then, as I said, we were deconstructing the controllers to get the controller board out, get to the contact points, the solder points, and then would wire up these little boxes. So we would put the controller board in this project box and then wire all of the buttons to the D-pad, start, select, and the main and all the buttons on the controller with this DB25 connector. There you go. You can see kind of the back side of it. And then on the other side, we had our sticks and our buttons. So again, my buddy's doing all the carpentry. I'm doing all the electronics. So we had the boxes. They had nice lids and stuff. We made all the hole templates and things, straight holes. Now a lot of arcade sticks nowadays have like the arced button alignment, but we did straight holes here, holes for the stick, start, select, and the uh, bumpers and the buttons and whatnot. Back then, right, we were talking about like most controllers had one set of shoulder buttons, and so there's our template, button template, puttying everything up, getting it done, put the lid on so you could open the whole thing up and get access to it, the wiring. It's more of these project boxes, like again, PlayStation controllers. We painted, this was such a stupid mistake. Oh my God. We painted these in the basement. It was wintertime, March 2nd, 2003. This is here. And so we made a little painting room with plastic because we couldn't paint them outside. We tried to paint them outside, and then the first ones that we painted, because it was so cold in the garage, nonetheless, still, it was so cold, the paint like spider webbed, it like fractured. Our house smelled like paint. Oh my God, it was so bad. It was so bad. We had no exhaust. We were so stupid. Still in my, what am I here? 20 something. So stupid. Probably gave ourselves like cancer or something, breathing paint fumes for the next week. Um, in any case, so yes, we did three of these. So it was me, my buddy Cody, and another friend Brian. Three of us got together. We were all in on this project, and we each made one, all the same spec, all the same setup. A lot of work, a lot of work. And plexiglass. We had the little plexiglass shield that went over the top. Screwed that down in there. This is my other friend Brian. He's doing some painting, and I paint it all, man. You paint the interior, make it all nice. These black cases, taking the burrs and the edges off of the acrylic. We drilled the holes through the acrylic, painting. Oh, and then we did so much. We did custom artwork. So my wife did a lot of this actually at the time as well. Man, I don't even know how we did all or what Photoshop. We must have been using Photoshop, but it was really sweet. We took the arcade flyers or like the arcade top banners that you would have on the arcade machine, made them black and white, and we took all of these our favorite fighting games and put them on the back. And then everybody customized their own artwork. Like, what do you want on your controller? So the top was my one friend's. His was Samurai Showdown and Soul Calibur, I think, inspired. Um, yeah, Samurai Showdown guys on the left, and then yeah, this guy's still. It's all Samurai Showdown actually. And then I was Street Fighter 2, and onward. Man, that was my game, my jam at the arcade. So Ryu, Ken, and Chun Li in the middle. Got the villains and the bosses over on the left, and the other characters over on the right. This was from like Champion Edition, so or later actually, because Akuma was already a character. Cammy and Fei Long, T Hawk and stuff there beyond the original like 8 World Warriors. And then the bottom was my buddy, so he wanted Mortal Kombat, and he liked the Wolverine in middle as well. Man, such good memories. And actually, yeah, I had two. Wait, why did I do? I must have printed two. I don't remember printing two. So this is actually like this one better. I'm not sure why. Which one I ended. Well, let's see which one I ended up using. But yeah, a lot of Photoshop, and my wife spending a lot of her time busily like magic wanding and selecting these guys out of promotional materials and pictures and whatnot. So yeah, so here's like one of the controllers inside, wired in, jacked in, and to hold it in there, he's just using rubber bands. Basically, rubber banded the board down. Um, yeah, getting hinges, getting everything installed, got the artwork on under the plexi shield. cut through to put the wires in. So I did end up using this one. I don't remember why I switched. Why did I switch the artwork? But this one had yeah, all the Champion Edition World Warriors. So yeah, there they are. The buttons are in, did individual button colors and all that stuff. And then underneath, yeah, so we had these junctions, did it with junctions, and we had the whole color key, the whole wiring schema there. And these were two-player sticks. So you'd sit side by side and play with them side by side. So we could wire to the junctions and then wire the junctions to the DB25s, and then you connect the project boxes right on the back. So right on there, two DB25s, player one, player two, and then so these were like male female DB25. So if we had a little DB25 cable to jack the two, or you could just take the project box and just stick it right on the back. And every project box also had its own artwork for the game system that it was comprised of. So we did them all, man. Dreamcast, PlayStation. Yeah, so here you go. PlayStation 2 project boxes with I forget what game this was. Guilty Gear, early Guilty Gear game. And we put the color code right on the top so you knew it was sitting right there in front of you when you were playing what button color was what button on the console. Dreamcast Soul Calibur, use Soul Calibur, and then was that Power Stone? Power Stone on the right. Great game. Really like Power Stone. Had to use different size project boxes for different ones because the boards were different sizes. But yeah, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn. We ended up doing I think we did Sega Saturn as well. Most of these, oh yeah, and then the Dreamcast one, we had to have the like the memory card or the VMU slots. So we cut out the VMU slots for the Dreamcast. And then some of these, I think like oh yeah, we bought I don't remember actually fully doing this. I guess the Xbox controller started to be done differently. The Xbox controller, I think, might have been one of the first controllers that didn't have solderable points to it. I remember that now. We took that controller apart. We couldn't use it. We couldn't jumper over it and solder onto it the same way. So we started buying other Xbox compliant controllers to find one that had a board that let us actually do what we needed to do. And so I still did it. Reverse engineered this other arcade stick, Xbox arcade stick. Oh, I forgot about that. I'm gonna talk to my recollect with my friends tomorrow or this week at work about this whole project. Yep, there it is. Xbox Dead or Alive artwork on Xbox. I mean, Dead or Alive, such a good fighting game as well. Sega Saturn. Yeah, we did the Saturn. We did the Saturn. Yeah. Samurai Showdown going on there. Marvel versus Capcom, and then later on, I actually owned a Neo Geo MVS for a little while as well. So that was our arcade jaunt. Um, Man, a lot of fun with that whole one. All right, so here I think the question was, yeah, what did you upgrade to after the B&Ws? We're already at the hour, so I'm not gonna. We'll have to do a history of the specific like current household as a part two to this, but let's talk a little bit about um, how we got there. So, as I mentioned, 2007, 2000. So that system was a lot of fun, man. Our house was the house for movie night. Nobody else in my friend group. I had buddies that liked the concept of home theater. I definitely had friends that were video gamers and stuff like that. But nobody ever really did anything more than whatever, maybe a 32-inch TV in their living rooms and stuff. Some people had speakers, stereo speakers, but nobody else had surround sound. So, our house was it was and is always has remained the audio video destination amongst anybody that I've met or know, or befriended for movies, Super Bowl parties, like any time it came to like we wanted to watch something, it was our place, man. Our place was the one that was the go-to spot. And so we had a lot of fun there, again, watched movies, played games, TV, cut my teeth on a lot of things back then. We weren't even calibrating, like there wasn't calibration systems and stuff. We just kind of plugged everything in and used it. um but starting to get involved in some online communities around home theater at the time, and continuing to read the magazines, really really getting a lot of my experience, knowledge, and information and insight from the magazines. So All right, but we moved. So, born and raised Southeast Michigan, but this job opportunity came along, took us to Boston or Boston suburbs as well. Say I'm from Detroit, Southeast Michigan. To say that we went to Massachusetts and say we go to Boston, we were Metro West Boston, but still within the commuter rail. So still part of the city, still part of Boston. But yeah, taking that job required going there. It was a big deal for us to move, but we did it nonetheless. And so we took all our stuff with us. We took that 1,650 square foot house. We got rid of some things. I don't say we took everything. We got rid of some stuff, but we carted a lot out east with us, not knowing where we were going to end up, what we were going to do. Were we going to go and buy a home right away? And we started looking. We were looking at houses, and again, the finance the finance market hadn't blown up yet as we were doing house hunting and whatnot. And I remember as we were shopping around, thinking about audio video, wanting to do something with home theater, wanting to kind of retain the projection setup and stuff that we had because we put that big was it ViewTech? I want to say it's ViewTech. I don't know if that's the actual brand name. That big board screen, we put it back in its carton, and that thing got moved out east with us as well. We took the projector, the audio, the speakers, everything we had came right out of that house and came with us under an assumption that, hey, we had this house here. We're probably gonna get something pretty equitable. We could set up this projection system in the new place, having no concept that like, okay, the kind of places that we may be looking at in Boston are much more expensive and in order to maintain controls, price controls and all that stuff are probably going to be smaller. They're much older homes, talking about more of a historic state than Michigan. Much older homes, older communities, different challenges putting these systems and stuff in there versus being able to like have the kind of access that we enjoyed in a brand new construction open basement type things. Not a lot of basements, right? As not as many basements in New England. Sometimes those basements aren't even basements; they're like crawl spaces and whatnot. In some of the older houses, so very 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 different place. It was a culture shock as we went, and we were shopping houses. We were looking around. It's like, man, we shouldn't buy. Like we're looking everywhere from like just outside of Boston, like Waltham and I'm gonna forget all the towns directly kind of adjacent, just west of Boston, all the way out to like Shrewsbury, with the company that I was working for being a Natick, and it's like we shouldn't buy. We still own the other home in Michigan. My wife was looking for a new job out there after we moved. Like this is not financially responsible to buy another house with one income, and we don't know anything about this place. We don't know where we want. Let's just rent something relatively close to my company, to my office, and we'll see where she ends up. We'll see how we like it out here. So, after having gone directly from our parents' homes, family homes, to buying and owning our own home, we rented. We rented for the first time, and so we ended up in Wellesley. So this is our house in Wellesley, and it was a downsize. We're talking. I don't even remember what the square footage of this place was, um, but it was smaller, 1,100 square foot, maybe less than that. Two bedrooms instead of three. Living room, just enough room, a bigger living room in some respects because it kind of became we didn't have a separate office room, so the living room and the office became the same unified space, more or less, and just enough room for a kitchen table, really small pocket slot kitchen, and no basement. There was a crawl space. You could open a panel in a closet, in the floor of a closet, and we could put stuff down there and get it out. But it's not a basement. Yeah, one full bathroom upstairs and a half bath on the main floor, and so may have only been 1,000 square feet. So there was no projection. Long story short, there was no projection going on in this room. This was going to be a change for sure. So I sold that projector, sold the projector, sold the screen, kept the speakers, kept most of what we had, and had to go to a flat panel. Had to go to a flat panel, and so this was what's this? Jesus, $7,000, 57-inch Samsung flat panel at the time, and thankfully we didn't have any problem, or they let us drill into the brick fireplace. Again, didn't use the fireplace. We just lit candles in there. TV above the fireplace because there's literally no other way to do this room. Everything was so small and so tight. just enough room off to the side that we were able to keep that same shelving unit. We were able to keep that same shelving unit that we brought out of the closet, and still Pioneer receiver, still had that TiVo, still had the Panamax, Xbox. This was why did we go from the white to the black one? Anybody remember what made the 360 black version better? Maybe there was maybe this one had the hard drive in it or bigger storage to be able to download games because everything was now getting online and connected. Got a PlayStation 3, rebought a PlayStation 3, and actually for whatever reason I have two Xboxes installed here. It must have been in the middle of putting one in, taking one out, and we're up to the Nintendo Wii now. But I kept the speakers. We were just barely able to use the yep. So there's a little slot for the dining room table. We actually had to get rid of our other table, get a kind of a smaller one, slot kitchen there. I don't know if I have a photo. Yeah, I only have a photo of the. Oh no, okay. So I did use them. So they were no longer side surrounds. They were kind of like improperly placed rear surrounds. They were back on the desk, kind of more or less in the corners. So we used actually we got rid of the old furniture. This was the same desk that we had, the same two station desk, two workstations. We played this by this point in time. We were playing a lot of World of Warcraft. So actually, I was doing a lot more gaming on PC even than on console. But a lot of World of Warcraft. My wife and I both playing. We were actually running. I was GM. We founded with some friends of ours a really what ended up being a really strong raiding guild. Doing a lot of that. So we still kept the 5.1, still kept the subwoofer. Yeah, it's kind of somewhere in here. If we can see it. Yeah, I think it's actually behind the other speaker by the cat tower. But yeah, 57-inch flat panel. But pros and cons. We were sitting a lot closer. Geez, we were probably sitting less than like 8 feet away from that screen. Of course, that's a 1080p, nowhere near 4K or anything like that yet. 1080p 57-inch television, and so I got to appreciate here how much sharper things get on a smaller screen, like smaller screen size, denser pixels, sharper image. Um, and flat panel performance. This was the first television also. I was cutting edge with this stuff. I had the first 1080p projector, and I had the first television, Samsung television here, that had like full array local dimming. Can't even remember or tell how many zones the thing had. But yeah, full array local dimming. That's why it was like a $7,000 television. And I convinced my wife that we needed that one. And ponied up the cash to pick that up. Way too high center channel. Couldn't do the kind of the same thing here. So compromised. I kept the projector shelf. We reapplied the projector shelf to become the center channel shelf. And geez, terrible audio presentation in terms of the center channel. But hey, we used these speakers, kept using them, and got value out of them for a long time. We had a little backyard area that you could walk into, not sliding doors, but the a door that you could walk out. I remember I have very fond memories of this time of our lives. It was scary and exciting, moving away, really being away. Even college, like I didn't go that far. I went like 90 minutes away for college. I stayed there and stuff, but like this was moving away. And man, I could go back. God, I'd love to go back and relive these years for so many reasons. Um, but yeah, I dug it, man. Played a lot of games in here, watched some movies. We had a good time in our life in Boston for these couple years. And again, Wellesley still had the same remote. Again, same setup. Didn't really change a whole lot. Nothing really changed a whole lot in these couple years, upgrade wise, other than getting the TV and getting rid of the other stuff. What really started to change for me in terms of my interaction with media is this is when I came to the first conclusion that, you know what, I can rip my content. And the PlayStation 3 is capable over like DLNA or whatever the connectivity thing was. Um, the PlayStation 3 can play content ripped off of a disc. And we had, I forget what the software tools and stuff initially were, but like handbraking, probably handbrake actually just at the time, putting in a DVD in my PC and being able to rip that, um, being able to rip that into VOV files and re-encode the VOV files into whatever MP4 files and such, the PlayStation would be able to play that. So I started. This is when I started my ripping journey. This is my road to Kaleidoscape, fundamentally, right? 2007 ish into 2008 started me on that journey. And what I was ripping wasn't even actually movies so much at the time because it started with DVDs. Eventually, we could rip Blu-rays and stuff as well. And this was the age of Blu-ray. Like Blu-ray was here now, um, or the Xbox. The Xbox brought us HD DVD. The PlayStation 3 brought us Blu-ray. I was starting to buy Blu-rays again. Always physical media collector, physical media buyer, physical games, physical movies, all that stuff. But I was ripping DVDs. And I was mostly ripping like television show DVDs. I was ripping the DVD releases of all the cartoons that I liked as a kid. He-Man, Transformers, GI Joe. A lot of that stuff had gotten or received DVD releases, and so I wanted to be able to have all those episodes, just be able to scroll them, call them up, play them without having to, you have a TV season or TV seasons or series on disc, and whatever it's like 18 discs. So ripping was so much better for that kind of content. And then for me, man, ripping and NAS servers, like I was in to that stuff full blast very, very quickly. And as soon as we were able to start ripping Blu-rays and stuff, I was in and off to the races. Because I had all the bits and pieces and stuff to do it. Deben is next upgrade. Oh, okay, next upgrade. Sorry, I'm sticking on. Yeah, seismic fog, 12 zones of local dimming. My first plasma was 4 grand in 2004 for 480p. Nice. Yeah, six or 7 grand that Samsung was. That Samsung was. Center channel is giving me anxiety attacks. Yeah, that probably was. I mean, I'm sure at the time I looked up the relative weight of the speaker and the strength of the shelf, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't have done that if those things didn't match up. Um, but it's just a piece of glass, just a piece of glass holding that speaker up there. But I did a heck of a job locking both that shelf mount and the wall mount of the television to that brick wall. We drilled into the brick. It had big like tension bolts, like tensioning bolts that went in, and it was there. And then when we left, we just kind of like we did um, like a cement filler kind of thing on the brick, and then we repainted the white, gave it a fresh coat of white, and that was that. So a couple of years we were in this place, early 2000, well, midish or early mid 2007 until we moved a town over, until we moved a town over, and we went to, let me go this way. We went to Needham. We went to Needham, and so a couple of interesting things started happening in my journey in Needham. Um, we were able, so yeah, this was 2010, but we moved. We were here from yeah, like 2007 to 2009ish in Wellesley, like 2009ish to like 2012ish in Needham. And so this was a bigger house. And as we were moving, we didn't even know it yet. My wife was pregnant. Um, Actually, this is February 13th, 2010. So the first one was on her way. In the process of moving, actually, is when we found out she was pregnant. She was starting to feel sick while we were doing a bunch of stuff for the house and led us to think that maybe that was going on. Um, but we wanted a little more space. We wanted to be able to people to be able to come and visit us. So this place, it still wasn't huge. It was still definitely smaller than our Brownstown home, our downriver home, but it had 3 bedrooms. Um, it had 3 bedrooms. It had the main living room, much bigger living room. We used one of the bedrooms upstairs as the office, bigger kitchen, bigger dining area. It had a basement, actually a better basement, a little more room for laundry, a little more room for storage and whatnot. And so we kept a lot. I brought everything basically over from Wellesley to Needham, with the big difference being we could actually set the system up to be a little more standardized. Standardized. So we had the same couch, kept the same speakers, same television, but instead of wall mounting everything and kind of mounting things in a weird way, um, we were able to get. Oh yeah, here you go. This is what's coming. This is what's coming. Did you get into HTPCs? This was the start of my HTPC journey. It's in there. We'll get there in a second. But this was a Salamander probably or BDI. I forget which, but more home theater furniture. But having the console cabinet was awesome. So the center channel is down behind like a behind that center section, and then we were able to put the side surrounds for the 5.1 back where a side surround should be. Use those little strips to do it a little bit nicer, kind of hide the wire. There's the other one on the other side. And then we had a big rug, so the cable just ran kind of under the rug and then over like to the baseboard and then around there. There you go. There's the keyboard, baby. And probably was that that's a Logitech. Probably a Logitech, yeah, one of the early Logitech Harmonies and my trackpad keyboard controlling that HTPC. So got big into HTPCs at the time. There it is. That was one of my first major HTPC builds. And I think I probably have some pictures of this separately. But that's a gaming PC. There's a gaming GPU capable in there, whatever was relevant at the time back in 2010. And so I was starting to also migrate a little bit. Like this began my on again, off again relationship between gaming on PC and then coming back to console and going back to PC, stuff like that. Still rocking the Pioneer Elite, maybe an upgrade from 2007 in terms of which model specifically, but and probably upgrading these for almost no reason as well. Like who knows, like 10 extra watts of power or something. But at the time, it's not like we were adding more speakers. We're still years away from 4K. We're years away from Atmos, all that stuff. So APC power conditioner, and then the center channel sitting in the cabinet underneath. And then yeah, still rocking the big three, right? PlayStation, Xbox, and Sony, the and then the TiVo. Uh, this was still this was still a direct TiVo, I think, because I'm pretty sure we had a satellite dish on the outside of the house. And to get this, they let me do this as well. These houses, man, they're so old, like no insulation, no routing, very hard to route. The office was directly above this living room and in this corner of the house. And I needed this cabinet to be networked. I needed this cabinet to be networked. And there was no there's no drops. This house is not Ethernet networked or dropped in any way, meaningful way whatsoever. My router's upstairs, in the office upstairs. We actually drilled out, drilled a hole to go outside of the house, down, and then back in behind this cabinet, and ran a cat whatever, cat 5 or something maybe at the time, to get a network switch in the back of this cabinet so that all the gaming consoles and things could plug in. Because now we're like Xbox Live is a thing, and I'm playing games with my friends in Michigan. Um, the TiVo is online, and yeah, there's everything needed to be online and networked. But yeah, that's all the pictures that I had of this system. But this was it. This was it for another few years. Playing the Wii, getting into the motion controls and stuff like that for the first time. Again, starting kind of the PC migration, and no DVD player. Notice there's no DVD player. Didn't need one, right? At this time, 2010. Um, I at this time, the first HTPC that I built had a bunch of drives in it, and I was using some software or JBodding them or whatnot, and and all the media that I was ripping, all my Blu-rays, everything, didn't play them. I was not playing discs anymore. By 2010, I was not putting discs in a tray. I was ripping everything. I was ripping all the movies that I had, big physical media collection, all that stuff, ripping all of those movies and putting them on there. At this time too, even like ripping ISO, using Windows Media Center. Man, I had so much cool Windows Media Center stuff set up. And then this was never stable. All these years from like 2010 until God, into the mid 20 teens. Um, this system, all I did was churn and reconfigure and re-rip and rejigger and rebuild and just chase the different elements of setup and things like that. Seismic Frog. I invested thousands in Media Center. It was awesome. Yeah, moved to Apple for the It Just Works factor. That's why I bought the 360. Yeah, so let me go back. Let me go back to this. Let me go back to my PCs. And so here it is, baby. Here it is. August. Oh, so wait, this is 2009. August 31st, 2009. This was again, I had been using from like 2000, that 2000, mid 2007 into 2009. I was ripping. I was really understanding how to do it, getting flavor of it, getting content using the PlayStation. Um, but at this point, like I knew, like, oh man, there's just so much that I can do with this. So forget this is probably a Silverstone, maybe at the time, Silverstone case. But yeah, oh, there you go, Silverstone. Boom, there it is. HTPC case had a remote control and everything. Look at that, drive cages on both sides. Big old motherboard in there. Always putting some silent fans, right? Got this big old honking media center with all these drives and stuff in it. Got to keep it quiet, but the fans got to run while it's inside there. So, yep, replacing fans. There's the motherboard, Radeon, ATI video card. Gaming is probably, I can't even guess what version or what card that actually is sitting in there. I don't know if there's a way to see. Can't really read it. I'm much more of an NVIDIA fan today, but Silverstone power supply. There you go, drives. One, two, three, at least in so far, and probably even putting some more in there as well. Yeah, six drives, full capacity, man, full capacity. He needed a big ATX motherboard with all the SATA ports to hook up all those drives. This was definitely, this was simultaneously a super fun time and also a major waste of my time. It kind of like, looking back on it, it was kind of both. Like the amount of time and effort that I put into this, definitely in these years, like 2010 to like 2015, I spent more time just jacking around setups, hardware setups, and software setups, and interface setups, and ripping my content than I did actually enjoying any content. And looking back on that, it was kind of a bummer. Like so many games I didn't play, and a lot of movies I didn't watch because I was just busy tinkering with everything. I come home from work. At this point, we didn't have a kiddo yet, but come home from work, do stuff with my wife, get dinner, hang out, whatever, and then just kind of chill time. I was tinkering with all this stuff. But I mean, it's good from a perspective of like the learning that I got led me to know a lot of things about a lot of things. It also, again, this is the seeds of my road to Kaleidoscape, and a lot of the things that I know in terms of audio video setups and hardware and interfaces and everything. Um, that kind of got me to where I was today. So probably testing this thing out here. Now I do my ripping upstairs on my computer, and then copy the copy the files down into the NAS or into the HTPC directly, where it would play them. So here you go. Here you go. There it is. Windows Media Center. This is February 13th, 2010, if the picture is right. So, media browser. What were we using? We had, yeah, I wasn't doing MKVs and stuff at the time as well. Like this point in time, at this point in time was should have been ripping ISO, full disk rip ISO. So it had special features, had access to everything. And then when you would play, you'd browse the ISOs in Media Center with the media browser. And then when you played them, what was the software? There was like Windows Desktop, Blu-ray, like officially licensed Blu-ray software that would play those with the menus. Like everything worked perfectly. And oh yeah, I spent a lot of time on this. I don't know if I found these or I photoshopped a lot of this stuff, but like all these, you browse the media browser, movies, animation, cartoons, Disney, Pixar, et cetera, et cetera. And then yeah, cover browser, view, um, dig into that. You get all the metadata kind of pulled from places. Is TMDB still already a thing? I don't remember all the different infrastructure and stuff that went into this. But man, look at, I had all the movies, man. I had all these movies. We already had The Dark Knight and stuff by then. Is it telling us? This isn't telling us. Yeah, it says widescreen, but this should have been the Blu-rays. Should have been this should have been accessing, like if I played this content, like it should have been playing the ISOs. Everything was ripping to ISOs. I actually spent this is I've re-ripped the same stuff so many times over the years. This is that's part and parcel with the waste of time, right? These cartoons, these cartoons. I always been a big fan of these cartoons and stuff, and so um, with the PlayStation, you'd like rip the episodes out to VOBs and whatnot. But with the HTPC, you could just rip you could rip the cartoons to the individual discs. And so you had the series in that there's actually a thread on AVS forum where I shared a lot of this stuff, drove a lot of this stuff. But yeah, so there you go. Like, so the GI Joe cartoon series, then you click in and then here's the seasons and the DVD packs. And then I actually scanned, dude, I scanned the discs and used PNGs of the disc art so that you could pick which disc you wanted to play. And then if you clicked in it, I had the metadata. So like, okay, what episodes are on that disc? And again, when you play it, it would just kick out to, I can't remember the name of the software. It's not Power DVD. Power DVD came along, and that was a big one, but it was something else that worked really well with the media center integration and the kickoff and stuff like that. Um, Lawless, we're using Silicon Dust tuners. You know what? I never did the live TV. I think I never did the live TV integration to the HDPC. I really liked TiVo, and to me, like TiVo just worked. Um, and TiVo worked. TiVo for me always worked really well. And by this point in time, we had like multi-tuner TiVos. Uh, and so yeah, my wife could use it. It just worked really well. So I never really played with that. I did have cable card. I did have some cable card TiVos and stuff because we went back and forth over the years a little bit between satellite and cable, but always TiVo. I used TiVo up until the day that we finally cord cut. Yeah, see where your 2010s were spent. Yeah, yeah, 2010 again, like 2009 to like 2016. There's like a black hole of really advanced audio video tinkering and exploration and learning and everything else. And then so man, my media center didn't stop with the movies. No. We bought our first digital camera in 2000 around when we got married. And so from that point forward, all of our photos and we took videos on the cameras as well were all digital, had all of that accessible in media center and music ripping. I didn't just rip the movies and TV series stuff. I ripped my CDs. So we had all of that. And then not even that, but books, man, comic books. Want to read some comic books on the big screen? I could do it. I could do it. Around this time, also like 2007, 2008 was around the time where uh, people started basically scanning comics and sharing them um, online. So always been a huge comic fan, always been a comic reader and stuff. And like, oh man, just like it was the advent of digital comics, right? But not officially with like Comixology. This was before Comixology came online. But it's just like I didn't have room and space to be able to collect and store and read all the comics that I wanted to enjoy. So I had them, I had the files and stuff, and I set them up on my media center. This is pre iPad, right? Pre iPad. At this point in time, I could have gone to Apple and basically said, you know what you guys need to make is a flat digital paper reading type of mini computer because I want to read my comics on it. So man, when they announced the iPad, like holy crap! Like I want that thing so bad. I want this so bad. And I actually started. I never really built one, but I started playing around with like writing my own comic reader app. But then other people did it faster, quicker, and I didn't need to build my own. But but yeah, so entire digitized comic collection available there, and boom, MU Center, baby, all the games. Didn't need the classic consoles anymore because we had emulators. So Dreamcast, Neo Geo, Nintendo, NES, N64, SNES, Genesis, Master System, Sega Saturn, right? Boom, all of it. And then, arcade. Uh, Always love the arcade. I don't know even what you call them. The arcade little flyers for the Neo Geo games, which gave you the controls and stuff. So all of this set up, man. EMU Center, you click on a game, it kicked out to the right emulator, and away you go. Away you go. So I was probably playing AAA games and newer games more so on the consoles still, particularly because I was starting to play online. Again, the advent of Xbox Live, I was playing online with friends back in Michigan, and then we didn't have as much of. There's a lot of console exclusives at the time, stuff not coming to PC. So I was playing a lot of newer games there, but the HTPC gaming was more relegated to emulation and whatnot, and music library, photographs, man, had it all. Um, and then again, so some shows I ripped the discs, some shows didn't have discs for, and so this was the next one. So this was already November of 2010. We're already into the second major HTPC build. Wouldn't you know it? And here we go. There is no. We're going silent. Yeah, yeah. We're going silent. I think silent. Really trying to get the noise down. Get the noise down to nothing. We have a fanless. I think we have a fanless big CPU cooler. No video card. No video. Yeah, fanless cooler. No video card. Again, not really using it for contemporary gaming, just emulators and stuff like that. And no drives in here. No drives in here. I had bought my first NAS. That was my advent, my initiation into the NAS path. So probably it definitely was a Synology, 5-bay Synology. I think is what I got started with, 4 or 5-bay Synology. No drives in here. Smaller cabinet, cooler, quieter, and doing all the ripping and file management, NAS based, but all the access and stuff on this computer. This was a heck of a machine right here, man. Streamlined, quiet, cool, and just awesome. So um I kept up the HTPC for a while here through the 2010s. But alas, we did make our move back. And I'm not going to go into these yet. This will be for part 2. Yeah, this is 2017. So we take a big jump in computers because for a while there, in the interim, for a while there, I was doing rack-based computers, rack-based HTPC gaming PC once we got to this house. So 2012, 2012 we came back to Michigan, and the whole journey towards what I have here today in this specific home started with the living room setup and a whole big step up in the system. But I think we will leave that as a story for another time, as we're at an hour and a half, and the family's probably waiting for me for dinner. Lawless, I use tuners, then extended the HGPC with Xboxes to bedrooms. Ooh, nice, cool, nice. Eddie Magambo 8109. Any chance for some K talk today? What do you want to talk about? I can stay on for a few more minutes. If anybody has some general questions, we can kind of move off this topic. Um, we can move off of this topic and move forward. I wasn't planning to talk much Kaleidoscape today. Um, Things just kind of continue forward. The lead time to order a K remains quite long. I do have orders fulfilling. I shipped, if you looked at the community post, I shipped like several of them out last weekend, or through last weekend slash the beginning of this week. And I'm waiting for hopefully some of the next orders to fulfill. Lawless actually has an order that's coming up next, and Joe is with us. Joe has one that'll be fulfilling pretty soon here as well. So not too much to say. I mean, they've been still dropping some 4KC stuff. There's a lot of discussion about 4KC happening. Um, there's an article that went up on the screening room where Chris Deering and Sammy Prescott Jr. both did some evaluation and they contributed to or wrote an article. I was actually talking with Chris earlier today. He had texted me back about scheduling a podcast, and I missed his text back, but we were messaging today. So hopefully, possibly, hopefully, maybe next week, next Monday, I can have Chris and maybe even Sammy on and let those guys talk a little bit about their perspective on 4K cinematic and stuff like that. But the screening room article is very positive, right? And they even said in the article like our initial impression of the Strato K was to wait. Now it's a definitive recommend, and they talk about why they think the 4K cinematic is better, visibly better, and so on. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a Kaleidoscape shill, right? I'm just a Kaleidoscape shill. So whatever. Yeah, Maddie, not thrilled about late nights comments. Yeah, he mentioned me. He mentioned me again. So I mean, hey, whatever. If you're gonna talk Kaleidoscape online, on social media, on YouTube, yeah, I mean, I'm a proponent of the brand. I don't know how anybody can call me like I'm bought and sold, or I'm some kind of a Kaleidoscape shill, or I've been what's the word that co-opted or something when I was a Kaleidoscape user for what 3 or 4 years before I started YouTube with no relationship to anybody, just a user doing my home theater thing on ABS forum and whatever. But yeah, whatever. Um, so yeah, I watched his video. He kind of regurgitates the same content over and over again about like he hates his Kaleidoscape, then he kind of loves it. He kind of hates it, but it's fine. It's fine. Like I mean, there's some legitimate points of feedback, and there's a bunch of technical inaccuracies in terms of what he has to say about some stuff, and it is what it is. But yeah, he used to pop up on the channel quite a bit, like in some of the live streams and asking questions and so on. I think I would say that he probably bought his Anthem stuff because he was introduced to Anthem because of me. Um, but yeah, so it goes. I only give what my opinions are. For some reason, like the opinion to like dislike Kaleidoscape is held by so many people as fact, but the opinion to like Kaleidoscape, you've got to be just a dealer or a shill or bot or something. It's like no, people can have opinions, and just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's um you can have an opinion that you like something that's expensive, right? A lot of people like their Ferraris, or they like their Coach purses, or whatever it is, the expensive things that I could buy if I wanted to, or my wife could buy if she wanted to, and we just don't have an interest in it. So, such is life. Red Tech, yeah, those orders coming up next, placed around July 17th. I'd have to let me see. So my last fulfilled order was placed on July 5th, and the next one to fulfill was placed on July 6th or 5th. Sorry, no, sorry. Let me restate that. 3rd. My last fulfilled order was placed on July 3rd. My next to fulfill order was placed on July 6th. So we are not yet to July 6th. And the number of orders in the system really starts to back up. There's a lot there's a lot of total orders between early July and now that remain unfulfilled. So I do have good hope that the other ones from like 7.6, I've got a 7.9. I'm hopeful that those will fulfill here pretty soon. Red Techie, yours, yeah, yours was, yeah, like you said, yeah, yours was the 17th. Hold on, let me do some quick math. Three. Yeah, you might still be waiting a little bit, waiting a little bit. The best time to buy was weeks ago. The next best time to buy is today. If anybody wants a Strato K, but like in Late Night's video, he was complaining about the 4K UI being a thing, and it's like, they just want to sell people new hardware. They don't want to upgrade the UI. It's like they can't upgrade the UI. The Strato E, Strato V is a 1080p UI because of a hardware limitation. There is no software patch coming to upgrade that. And then in that same video, I think he was mixing up some of the things that people were saying about regular 4K versus 4K cinematic, and like comparing to disc, and it wasn't very clear. And then somebody in this comments mentioned about the somebody made a comment about like, yeah, is Kaleidoscape going to be around long term or whatever? And somebody's like, they got to be doing pretty well because they have like 3 month back orders for their the Strato K, and like he didn't believe, he totally dismissed that, like that was like a lie or something. It's like, dude, it's not, it's the truth. It's not a lie. There's a huge amount of demand. I think Kaleidoscape is doing just fine. They're having a renaissance right now with incredible demand for their products. Um, and then I think a lot of his thesis as well was based on the price of the movies, which, yeah, I mean, it sucks when new movies are $40. That's not great. I'd love to see nothing more expensive than like $30 in the store. But at the same time, it's like physical media releases are getting more expensive as well. And it's not every movie studio. So Kaleidoscape doesn't set the movie store prices, the studios do. And it's very, very clear if you understand the platform that, some studios like Warner, MGM, they charge more. They just charge more for their stuff than like Sony does or NBC Universal. They charge more for their movies. Warner does tend to drop the prices relatively soon after things come out. So if you have some patience, you can catch some lower prices. But it's the same thing with disc to digital. Not every movie gives you a $4.92 digital offer. And so, but part of the flack that I was catching over there is like, I only talk about the pros and it's only good and it's whatever. It's like, well, whatever. I like it and I've liked it for a long time. And so to me, the pros of Kaleidoscape way outweigh its cons, and the cons of ripping and physical media way outweigh their pros. To me, that's my opinion. So there's no fact in that. That's my opinion. And anybody that holds the opposite perspective, that's their opinion. It is not fact. And so why is one opinion valid and another opinion gets trashed? Like just because I'm a dealer or something like that. And like, do I hide the fact that I'm a dealer? No, I'm proud of the fact that I'm a dealer. I've built an awesome business for myself and my family around all of this stuff in the last 5 years, and particularly in the last two. And I love on my customers, and I serve my customers all kinds of stuff. I don't lie to any, like, why would anybody lie, like hide wanting to be a dealer? Fundamentally, there's so much more financial opportunity in being an integrator than there is in making these videos. Like these videos pay nothing. Um, So like if I hide the fact that I'm a dealer so that I can make a video and like lie about how good something is or is not, there's no business sense in that, like whatsoever. Um, it makes more sense to do exactly what I do, which is say, hey, I run an integration business now, and it's part of the channel. It's just part of the thing now. And so like I want you to know that I'm a dealer. I want you to know that I'm a dealer because if you want to buy something, I'd like you to buy it from me, because there's opportunity in that for me. And I will bend over backwards for people to give them good advice and to give them service and to keep them updated and to engage with them and talk on the phone. And, people call me interested in something. And like, I don't just ship boxes and leave people to their own devices. It's like, no, you buy this Mad VR, you buy this Trinoff, something like we're getting on a 2 hour StreamYard private call, and we're going to go through all the settings. I'm going to give you recommendations, and if something's not working right, you're going to text me, and I'm going to answer you right away. So yeah, I'm going to put all that out there. Like I'm not there's nothing to hide. Why would I hide? Uh, why would anybody hide their business opportunity if they run a good business? And why would anybody lie about something? Like the last thing any good business wants to do is like sell a good product to people that appreciate it. Like what money or opportunity is there to be in, like, I don't know, lying to people or selling people something that they don't need, or upselling them? And I won't say that people don't do that because it definitely happens, but that's not the way that I want to run my business. And so I talk people out of stuff. Um, Sometimes it's like, do you really need that? I don't know. Like based on everything you're telling me about what's important to you and what you have and what you don't have, it's like I don't know that I would recommend that. If you really really want it at the end of the day, I mean, you're gonna buy it. Okay, that's one thing, but I'm yeah. Anyway, Joe, I'd love to hear Sammy and Chris talk about that stuff. Yeah, so that'll kind of be the topic. We'll kind of talk about the article that came out. Um, Joe, and disregard late night. S9 claims. Yeah. Yeah, it's like he makes the same video over and over and over again. So it's like if you really don't like it, if you don't like the Kaleidoscape and it's not enhancing the enjoyment of your home theater experience, then just get rid of it. Move on back, go back to disc, use streaming. I replied in a couple of the comments as well because they're complaining about the prices and the rental prices are even so high, and it's like, well, you can go join 3D Blu-ray rental. They're still around. You're going to find that it's still going to cost you, a certain amount of money, several dollars to rent a disc or something, which nominally, if the Kaleidoscape rental price is several dollars, so some of them may be more now in certain films, but um, if you do a larger subscription on 3D Blu-ray rental, you can get a larger amount of content or a larger quantity of discs, or just go to your library. That's the other thing that I said in my comments. Like, man, my library local here, and then tied into the whole like whatever they call it, MCAT Michigan Library Network. God, I can get all kinds of movies um, borrowed and sent to my local library to pick them up and grab them, watch them. It's totally free. So, I mean, if you want to go for physical media, cool. Like that's great. Then there's some really awesome options out there, particularly if you're a renter, to do that. Ship one more. I'm trying. Spliffy, love my friends. Kaleidoscape. Um, I'll buy this Christmas probably. Yeah, there was so like right. You guys did the and Michael Stevens, Youth Man, had it on his channel uh, about the 4KC. Which that one was a little. There's definitely some like people really noticed the difference on some. They didn't notice the some on others, and it's like, nobody. I don't know. Well, I'm not overselling like the fact that like 4K cinematic or the idea that 4K cinematic is like the second coming or something like that. Is it? Do I think it's better? Heck yeah, I think it's better. And so, um, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the price point. Happy enough with the price point that it took to get it, and I like it. And the people that I've shown it to have noticed that as well. Even on like Kscape Owners Forum, I was getting knocked about like, well, like the dealers post that I showed it to people in my family. It's like, why do you discount the opinion of my family? My family's opinion is as legitimate as any home theater enthusiast. In fact, I would trust the visual acuity of my teenage kids over most of the 40, 50, 60 plus home theater community that they're going to see color clearer, or they're going to see resolution and clarity in more detail. They're going to see color more vibrant and better. Um, their eyes work better. They're younger eyes. And so, and my kids know what these systems look like. They use them all the time. They know what our theater looks like. They know what our television looks like. And so if I show them something different from what they're used to seeing on the same system, and they tell me that I think this looks better with no knowledge or care about what they're looking at, uh, they don't have any bias about any of this stuff. They don't participate in the hobby the way that I do. And it's like, why is their opinion, why is their response discounted because they're like my kids or something? I'm like lying about what my family said. I don't get it. Everybody else's opinion is valid except for mine. It's just ridiculous. I can't please everyone. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yep. Three-born chick finally got, or oh, sorry, yeah, cynic. Finally got a Kaiscape ever sitting on the sidelines. Love it. Yeah. That's the other thing too. It's like, okay, nobody has returned a Strato K. Let me say it that way. Nobody has returned a Strato K. Nobody has called me up and say, you know what? I don't think the difference is enough, and I could probably let this thing go because I could guarantee, like, they could probably somebody that had bought a Strato K and didn't like it could probably put the thing on eBay for like 6 or 7 grand and sell it. So it would probably sell, I would imagine, because there's somebody else out there that really wants it and is not gonna wait, is gonna pay a little bit more money to not wait 3 months to get it. So anybody, any day, anybody that felt that it wasn't worth it, quote unquote, they can get rid of their systems, their player very, very quickly. They'll sell instantaneously at MSRP. If they put them on Kscape Owners Forum or whatnot. The thing won't even last like 10 minutes. So, but nobody's doing that. Nobody's contacting me saying that they didn't enjoy it, or like they're not liking it, or they're not finding it worth it, or etc. So just data point after data point, expensive and all that considered. And it is, there's no doubt about it. It is expensive. It's a con of the platform. It's an expensive item. So is Trinoff. So is Mad VR. So is this JVC sitting back here. So is a Panamorph lens. So is the speakers, right? All these other speaker and subwoofer brands. A lot of things are expensive, and you don't have to buy the servers. Like you can buy the player and enjoy the player, enjoy the platform. Um, so the servers are what they are, but you don't have to buy the server. Lawless. That's what happens. The haters come for you right as you're rocketing towards the silver plaque. Yeah, yeah. Well, at least I mean, late night, dude. His other channel. I mean, I mean, I'd say this. I'm jealous of his other channel. I'd love to be able to have the kind of like viewership and engagement, and even just straight up flat revenue that his other channel brings. His other channel's like crazy. So kudos to him for that. Like the content of his other channel doesn't excite me personally. It's just not something that I'm into. It's kind of like drama content and stuff in an area of hobby interest or something that I have no interest in. But there's no doubting that like he figured out something that worked, and is working for him, in that space. So super kudos, for that. I respect any hustle, right? Any hustle creation, and so on there. So yes, believe everybody. Yeah, everybody's a dealer. Everybody's a dealer. Yeah, yeah. That's not the case at all. Maddie, love my Strato. Yeah, he's digging it. I don't think people realize how much quality they're missing out. Yeah. Plus convenience. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think there's like compared to streaming, sure. Compared to disc, the regular Kaleidoscape, the non 4K Kaleidoscape, it isn't a big. There's not a big quality difference going on. It's more about this, like convenience, accessibility, usability, update. Like there's a lot of other, benefits to the platform, right? You get a high level of quality, but you can get a comparable level of quality from discs. But now with 4K cinematic, you objectively have better quality. So it wins now the other argument, as well. Man, you're a dealer. We're all dealers here. Let's just sell. We just like keep selling Kaleidoscapes to each other in a big circle. Seismic frog facts. Thank you. I work at a grocery store. Got my yeah. Yeah, Maddie was one of the guys that I connected to another seller and all that stuff. So Joe, I've done more than a handful of very impactful projects in my room with Jeremy, and the experience is awesome. Second to none. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, Joe's been awesome. Joe's come a long way. We need to highlight Joe's home theater journey in a future podcast. So future live show. We definitely need to do that because it's been fun going through that with him in the last, just what has it been, like maybe at least a year, 18 months or so. So Spliffy, Chris and Sammy came to the same conclusion, as me. Yeah, that's in the where is it? That's in the article. I could probably link it. Let me link this screening room. Yeah. I'll link this in the chat if anybody wants to read it. But yeah, my goal is to get those guys on the channel, and we'll kind of talk through their perspective. I mean, these guys are pro calibrators, right? They don't. It doesn't get the opinion doesn't carry any more weight than it does from those guys, and I trust them, implicitly with their perspective on stuff. So, Seismic Frog, the win is to start teaching them. The win is start teaching them to calibrate a system now. Not sure what you mean, Eddie. Eddie McGee, the fact which is being lost on the Youth Man video, some folks were suggesting even normal 4K content. That was interesting. That was interesting because I'm very surprised by that. I believe, or I understand that there is some hardware improvement to the Strato K. Um, oh, gotcha. Sorry, I come back to the kids. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm my goal and vision over the next like 2 years or so is that like this whole Techthusiasm business, building entrepreneurial spirit in the household and building up this business to have a flow of revenue, um, that can be, an income stream like for them for doing legit work. Like they already do legit work, in here, and they're engaged. Like my daughter's editing, my son's a cameraman. He works on the website, stuff like that. And there's like, oh my God, there's so much stuff that I need to do that I don't get to. I'm so jealous of Youth Man. in some respects, that like this is what he's able to do this all day, and I can't do this all day. Like, but my other job is so good. Like I'm not complaining, but like man, like this podcast, like we got to get this podcast to like Apple and Spotify and Podbean and other places. I got to figure out how to do all that. And like I leverage YouTube so much, but like I don't touch TikTok. I barely touch Instagram, barely touch Facebook. I'm not in all the places that I could and should be. And I need help with that. And like I want to have merchandise available better than I do right now. It's disjointed and it's separate. Nobody ever uses it. I need to buy myself actually some more Techthusiasm clothes. It's like I got to spend the time on that. But now it's like it's hard enough just to get content out. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last little bit, we're like largely a podcast channel. I've largely become a podcast channel just because, like, hey, the podcast gives me an opportunity to engage, to get some content out, talk about some things. But man, like, there's a point in time where I was doing like 3 videos a week or something like that, and I'm like, I don't know how I can do that today. Um, because like I come home, I finish the other job. It's like I got people I need to talk to, stuff going on. And so it's like, but the kids, man, the kids are my link to everything. They're getting paid, they're learning. I need to send them to these like dealer webinars so they can learn all these products, the learning opportunities and stuff that are out there. I want to get them I want to get my daughter at least as well. Both of them actually kind of moved over from Camtasia to Final Cut, get them fully skilled up on video editing practices, get them working on social media pieces and stuff like that. Get them my daughter's she needs her license so she can be my runner. She can be running to shipments and running to UPS and taking care of things. But entrepreneurial spirit is high. In fact, actually, a big part of the last this is why we didn't watch any movies or stuff this last week is my daughter founded her business, her first business now. She is officially in business as a horse braider, hair braider. So she's big into equestrian and all kinds of things around equestrian. And my wife worked with her, and I worked with her, and she wants to start selling services to braid horses, braid the manes basically for shows and events and competitions and stuff like that. And I mean, people pay like certain types of riding require certain types of braiding, and people pay like pretty big money to have their horses done up in that. And she's really good at this stuff, and she likes it. She wants to work around equestrian. So for her age and what she's doing, like this is a great business opportunity. So we put a business together. She named it. She designed her logos and all this stuff. She pulled a portfolio of braiding stuff that she had done together, and uh, we put it on Facebook. So she has a Facebook landing page. She has a bookable Google form where people can get her, and she's scoping out these events that she wants to go to and like advertise that and line up customers and go there for the day and do this horse braiding. It's like, dude, if I had never if I had never made the first YouTube video and we hadn't like invested in and built up the spirit of entrepreneurship, she probably we wouldn't be doing that. She wouldn't be doing that. It's like this is just the first thing to try for her. So I get so fired up and excited about the opportunities. So like, man, again, do I want to hide that like I'm a dealer? I'm freaking proud that I'm a dealer. I'm proud that I have this stuff going on, and I love all my customers, man, in ways that. Uh, so let's go back to this real quick. I got to get off this stream, but it's fun conversation, and I really enjoy it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know where to go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here. In fact, yeah, from the use man, that normal 4K content appeared to resolve on the K. So Spliffy was there. He was one of the guys that coordinated that event, right? He says he did notice that. I'm surprised by that to some extent. I do understand that there is an improvement in the HDMI chip. We know it's a different HDMI chip, right? Because uh, there's a different video system, there's a different chipset, and it relates to the HDMI output because hey, it's 2.1. The other one was not 2.1. But I think some of the circuitry, some of the work they did, like either like it's improved. There's some improvement in there, and so maybe that's what you're seeing. But I'm surprised by that. I've never done it. Because I already got rid of my Strato E's when I brought my K's in. I never did myself a non 4K C Strato E versus Strato K comparison, and um, so it's interesting that that people said this. They noticed that so much, but then they actually missed on some of the movies the difference in the 4K C. But Spliffy, correct me if I'm wrong. Like as much as people failed in some respects, or the blind test, like on one movie it was very clear. One movie it was kind of mixed, and one movie um, some people or more of the people failed to blindly identify the 4KC, right? But after everybody knew what it was and was analyzing the difference and kind of had an inclination of knowing what to look for, did anybody leave that meetup without a sense that they all preferred the Strato K and the 4KC, not only for the old content because they saw an improvement, but also respecting the 4KC? Because it's kind of thing like I don't think in some respects like okay, it's great if it passes the blind test, but ultimately if you know what you're looking for and you can respect what you see, you have an even greater appreciation, right, for that product or what that product is giving you, right? It's like if I open the hood on a super, well, that's maybe a bad analogy. Um, well, to some extent, like I know cars and I've worked in automotive and by day I do a lot of I serve like automotive technology aspects. But if I open the hood of a supercar and um somebody and like I open the hood of a Ferrari or of a Corvette, it's like wow, that engine looks really like really cool, really badass or something. But I don't know all the details about why. But if somebody like was a mechanic and pointed out a bunch of stuff to me, then I would get it and I would have a better appreciation for what I'm looking at, right? A better sense of respect. And when I look at another engine, now I would have some knowledge to be able to say, okay, like this is really cool because it has these things and that's awesome. And so like there's nothing wrong with having the details of something pointed out to you that from that point forward then you know about them and you know what you're looking for. So like so the blind test is good, but I don't think the blind passing or not passing a blind test is not the end all be all um of like of having understanding something, its implications, what makes something better versus not better and stuff like that. So we'll get this comment in a second. Then we're going to have to really wrap it up. Mars, welcome. 7352. Do you have any other home theater tech around the house besides HT and living room, like a sound bar in the bedrooms or outdoor spaces? I do not. Well, no, actually, no. That's false. I have 8 zones of distributed audio around the house. Just two. There are just two ceiling speakers. We have them on our front exterior porch, our back exterior porch, our basement zone, our office, our kitchen, one of the bedrooms upstairs, and then the in here actually, which when it was a gym, and then the other room. There's 8 zones. The other room that is my wife's craft room. Um, those are ran off of an Anthem MDX 16. Right now, we predominantly use Apple AirPlay, Apple Music, Apple AirPlay, and it's kind of virtually presented as AirPlay targets through Control 4. Um, but that's it. That's it. We do not have TVs in any bedrooms. It's kind of like our preference, I guess, or our choice. Even my wife and I, our master bedroom, we don't have a television in there. So with no television, there's no need for audio sound bars and stuff like that. And we don't have TVs in the kids' room. We don't really have a functional guest room. We have a fourth bedroom, but it's a Lego room. It's a kids' playroom. It's basically yeah, so it's not set up for guests at all. Uh, you you basically like walk over Lego spikes to get to the futon that's in that room. It's so inundated with Lego debris. Um, yeah, and that's it. In the long run, here we've talked a lot about right now our basement open space is wasted essentially. It's kind of like open romper kids romper room, little kids romper room. We actually still have some real little kids toys and stuff out there, but we still have like younger nieces and nephews that come over and stuff like that. That space needs to get redone. And I've talked a little bit about that. There's probably a future where there's a television there. Maybe that would be a great application for a sound bar if I want something a little better than the TV audio, but I'm definitely not investing in surround sound or much by the way of speakers. It's probably perfect application for a soundbar. Um, Maybe some supplemental gaming opportunity, but some other physical games in that space as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that in the long run. Red Tech, you not just video. I could swear the audio is better on the new K's SoC. I know on paper they haven't claimed it was, but with nothing else changed, the audio still seemed. And so maybe that's just simply a matter of like jitter, like the whole idea behind like the linear power supplies and stuff like that. Maybe they've reduced some interference or some crosstalk or some jitter or something like that in the electronics. Um, but it's hard. I don't know. Split fee. It had to be pointed out for a few people. You're talking about the difference in the 4KC. Once they knew what to look for, most people left understanding there is a difference. And there you go. And I think that's just as legitimate a point as the results of the blind test. Minecraft being 7-1 and one person with a similar JVC setup identifying all correct clips was enough for me. Yeah, and that's important as well because the system makes a big difference. You bring somebody in to evaluate something on a system that they're not familiar with or is very different maybe from what they see regularly. They're kind of out of their sorts and stuff a little bit. So I agree with this. It's telling that somebody else that is used to looking at stuff like what they were looking at there was kind of spot on. And I've been using Minecraft as a key 4KC comparison because I already had the inclination that like Minecraft to me was one of the best looking movies before the Strato K, before all this stuff. Last year, I think when we watched it, I felt that movie was just a fantastic demo movie. Super, super clean video and all that stuff. And so that was one of the ones that I showed my family when they made their invalid conclusions that they felt 4KC looked better than not. Just skip right to the beginning of Minecraft Chapter 2, and Jason Momoa's character is driving the car. Look at the car, look at him, his tattoos, his rings and jewelry and whatever. Inside of the car, the big vista outside of the car, driving into town through the buildings and some of the motion stability, all that stuff is right in there. Joe, it's interesting in the article that they prioritize. Yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. I think if I can get the stream set up with Chris and Sammy, that's another thing that we can kind of spin our or chew on for a little while, spin our wheels on for a little while is why would you download what format would you download when given the choice of formats relative to the systems that's playing it back? For projectors, it makes sense. Yeah, if you have no need for Dolby Vision, just give your video processor projector 444, especially if you have like a Mad VR, that 444 is going fully in and being fully processed for sure. I've still stuck to the Dolby Vision because I'm serving two zones, one of which is Dolby Vision native, and one of which, the same one, the TV, the TCL upstairs, which I believe does not fully handle the 444 processing without like bypassing some of its processing capability. So to me, I flip flop. Yeah, I flip. So same. Joe and I, we've been talking about this for weeks. Um, uh, we flip flop from 4K Cinematic HDR10 to Dolby Vision. Yeah. Um, I have prioritized 4K C Dolby Vision as my choice for the moment. Um, so we're still waiting too. There's been still a latent bug where I think some of the brightness of the Strato K outputting Dolby Vision 4KC as HDR10 is off a little bit, but I feel like I don't. Yeah, this one, the elevated black, that should be fixed. Hopefully, that will be fixed very soon. It will take care of that. I feel that I don't see that though, and I think that my hypothesis is the MadVR processing equalizes or takes care of whatever may be going on there. Joe, yeah, I get it. I have a living room K as well. Yep. Um, on a DV cable OLED. Yeah. So Joe's in the same exact situation I am. He's got the theater with the JVC, and he's got a Dolby Vision capable television with one 48 terabyte Kaleidoscape server serving both zones. So yeah, when Mike Cobb was on, that was on our show, on my show, he was talking about 12-bit color benefits are maintained. So like I think the choice between 4K CDV and HDR10 is like splitting hairs in a way that it's completely undetectable. I think there's a merit point to either one, but it's in the end of the day, it's an effectively a wash. And so in our case, where we have two zones, we're trying to serve two masters with the same uh, format because there's no way in heck, no way at all that I'm downloading two different formats, especially when the files are 50% larger. I want more movies on my server, not less, and I'm not wasting space to store the same movie two times or more. So ultimately, yeah, some argue 422 12-bit is more impactful than 444. So I think, to me, that debate splits hairs to the point that it doesn't matter, and the DV native format really maximizes in the living room. So the TV does all of its processing, and it has a native format it takes care about, and the theater just gets the HDR10 conversion. Anyway, I don't think anything is lost there. I think the value of those things is higher than the um, is higher than any benefit that the native 444 over 422 would have provided. Yeah. I'd rather have 422 12-bit TV, especially. Oh yeah, 100%. If you're only connecting your Strato K to a DV capable display, just go DV. No doubt. I think about it. I wouldn't even think twice about using DV, or even give it an extra thought of like, oh, should I do the 444 HDR10? Just stick to DV if that's your single display, single purpose use. I think that makes a lot of sense. PD Wheatstraw 5591. Do you think Kaleidoscape will bring back a 12 terabyte or 8 to 24 terabyte servers? Um, I think anything is possible. Anything is possible. So we have a 30 right now, right? Um, but there is, yeah, we go from 8 to 30 to 120. If anything, I think there's room for like an 88 again, or a 72 or something like that, so that we have a smaller option at a lower price in the bigger 2U chassis, because a lot of people want the 2U chassis. Some people don't like the fact that, like, the compact chassis isn't field serviceable. It's not drive swappable. So some people really really like that. But to get the big chassis nowadays, you have to go all the way to the 120. And so I really really would like to see them bring back a smaller 2U size offering. Um, but what they do with the compacts, I don't know. Maybe the 8. I think if the 8 got bigger, the 30 probably needs to get bigger as well, and ideally at the same price point, if that's even possible in today's drive world. I was just reading something about, oh, where was this? Was this, what was I listening to? Basically saying, like, was it Western Digital's? All of Western Digital's potential drive production for like the next 18 months is gone. It's like pre-bought. So we're not getting out of the drive computer parts cost data center AI conundrum, I think, anytime soon. And I think that's what's driving a lot of it. Best case scenario, I think the best case scenario that could happen would be that the 8 goes to 12 and the 30 goes to 36 for the same price in the compact chassis. That would be really, really nice to hear that happen. I just don't know that it's going to be possible. And who knows what capacities and whatever they can get. I was going to get a new drive. I was going to possibly get a 12. Was it a 12 or 18? I think it was eight, might have been 18 for my Ubiquity NAS. And it's like that size, whatever size that was, I just couldn't get it. Like that capacity was just gone. And it's like it's a RAID 5 array. I have to have another drive of that size. And they're just gone. Also, let's not forget the Stratos doing chroma upsampling on the legacy stuff. Oh yeah, first as well. Then in our case, MadVR is then taking it to 444. That's correct. Yep, correct. Red Techie, very much in the 2U camp for field replacement drives if they fail. Yeah, I'm too sad the only option now is 120. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of room, and it would be very, very nice to uh have a smaller option that's bigger than 230s at least. So in my opinion, it needs to be bigger than 60, but not too close to 120. Like 72. I think like bringing back a 72 would be a great thing. And then I would love, love if it was possible to buy individual drives to put into the 2U units, so that, like, if you had a 2U unit that was only using 3 drives, you have an empty bay, you could buy something to plug in and get more capacity, and it would just, like, right, field install and update. Or if people have older 2U units, with smaller individual drives. Maybe somebody has an older 40 and right, and they could get like a 24 terabyte single drive and put it in their 40. You could take your 40 to like a 56 or something, if my math is right. um, right, by being able to do individual drive updates. I'd love, 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 love for that to come along. I don't know that it will, but just something that I think would be amazing. Lawless 10K NAS style backplane with 20 terabyte. Yeah, then 5K per 20. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yep. Make it more of a modular thing. I think that would help in the wake of all of this drive accessibility challenge to be able to just maximize individual drives that could be plugged in. Um, of course, these would be directly bought. They would be secured. They would fit within all the stuff of the. Um, well, yeah. So this is the thing, Vamps, right? Legal reason would likely forbid them. So we're not talking about letting you buy your own drive. We're talking about buying like a blessed, yeah. But yeah, maybe still, maybe that would be too much. Who knows? Who knows? There's definitely a lot of legal navigation to provide content the way that they do. Joe Astorino, field replaceable with proprietary firmware, locked drives, so there's no tampering. Would be awesome. Yes, yep. So well, we'll see what happens. Spliffy, I would definitely want a 12. 8 seems to be a little too to hold all my demo scenes and movies I would want to have. Yeah, I had a 6 for a long time. I felt 6 was cramped. 8 gives a little more breathing room. 12 is a nice one. Um, so if anybody can get there, I think 30 is the sweet spot in the lineup for sure. 30 is the sweet spot right now because 120 is just so much more. And you go from 8 to 30, you spend a little more than twice. These are MSRPs. You spend it's a little more than twice the MSRP, but you get almost 4 times the storage. So yeah, Vamps. I just got used to deleting and downloading, and that works. That works for a lot of folks as well. I used mine that way for a little while to kind of get a feel for it. Again, I do like having a server, but I also I have business need, right? I want to be able to have a lot of movies stored. I don't know who might come over, what they might want to see for demonstration purposes and stuff like that, as well as wanting to have movies that I want to watch available. So yeah, I mean we can remove drives today, so reading the content isn't the issue. They've already worked. Yeah, but it's I think there is a difference between like they offer individual drive upgrades. But it would still all be done under the umbrella of like a dealer control. Um, Again, it's not like you'd ever be able to just go buy a drive at Best Buy and plug it in and have it be secured or something like that. So who knows? Who knows? But it is what it is. We have what we have. So all right, I'm gonna call it here. We'll see if my little I don't want to call it a rant. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't want to call it my little rant, but my little outburst earlier ends up on another channel or something like that. But I don't know. It's just funny to me. So I'll continue doing what I'm doing and stand by my perspective. I have a right to my opinions, and I share those opinions freely. So if somebody chooses not to put any merit in my opinions because of some logistic or element uh, of who I am or what I do, that's their choice. So be it. But thanks everybody for coming out. It's a fun conversation. We'll definitely take this up with part two in the future. Then we'll go from the moment in time where we built this home in the evolution of the theaters and stuff from then until today. Most of which happened, or much of which happened before the channel, because I built the theater. Uh, I built this room, its first incarnation. Did a lot of stuff in the living room, long before YouTube. And we'll talk a little bit more about the what I was doing in the 2010s, wasting my time in the 2010s um, on different devices and in pursuits and deciding finally to jump into Kaleidoscape and all that stuff. So we'll cover that in another day. That may be next week if I can get Chris and Sammy, though. That's the priority. So I really want to get those guys on, and we'll have a discussion with them, and then whenever the next opportunity is to do the part two of the Techthusiasm home theater journey, we will come back to that. So man, my voice is killing right now. I'm actually going to be going to voice therapy soon because I talk a lot. I talk a lot. My voice ends up hurting. So I have a very talk based need for my voice, but I have never trained it or developed its resiliency, and so I pay for that on the days where I have lots of meetings and then I come home and I do this, or I have long customer calls or something else to do. I'm talking all day long. So I need a honey drop and I need some dinner and I need to spend some time with the family. So thanks everybody for coming out. We'll talk soon. I'm going to try to make some content this week. Last week was only the podcast. I would really like to not that have that not be the case this week. I'm probably going to make another Kaleidoscape video for all the haters out there. I've already have the concept in mind. I just want to show what the 4K cinematic format is doing technically when you play different versions of it. And then I really want to get back to Trinoff. I want to get a calibration video about the calibration process and get some more Trinoff stuff flowing. So that's my goal. And then we'll see what happens as we get closer to CEDIA. Theater news gets hot and heavy, and we go from there. So if I can help you, reach out. Thanks everybody for your support and friendship and engagement. All much appreciated. Have a great one, and we'll talk soon. Thanks. The lights, cue the show.